Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to the Fireside Chat. In this session, we are going to learn a lot. We are going to glean a thing or two that will help us in our career and give us the right footings that we need wherever we find ourselves. All right, so our panelists are ready. So let's do it this way. I will be introducing them with a short profile, and when I eventually bring them on stage, please show them some love. Are we good? All right. Our first panelist is Oluwatobi Shola Abiola, who is an entrepreneurial-minded professional and the founder and chief operating officer at Nature Teas Venture. She has been recognized among the top 100 Nigerian SME women by Bank and Entrepreneur Africa magazine. She has co-hosted quite a number of shows, including Your View on TVC, several radio shows and podcasts. She has won several awards and been a beneficiary of several life-changing initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Shola Abiola. Do it better, do it better, do it better. Next up, we have Mike Abdul. He is a Lagos-based songwriter, singer, and music producer. Mike Abdul runs a record label and a clothing line. He is the CEO of Spaghetti Records and Enyo Jesu Collections. He released several songs, and some of his most popular songs are Morire, 30 Billion, and many more. And he has won several awards. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have Mike Abdul. Thank you very much. Next up is Hawoma Wogo. She is a distinguished member of the Global LinkedIn Certified Marketing Insiders Network, who has helped thousands of business gain visibility on LinkedIn. She is the founder and lead trainer of the Global 20 Days LinkedIn Growth Program with Hawoma. In 2022, she was listed as one of the top 60 African women in development by Donors for Africa and one of the 30 most influential young people by the African Youth Development Group. Ladies and gentlemen, Hawoma Wogo, the LinkedIn Queen. Celebrate her. All right. Rounding out our panel is Debola Ajayi. He is a visionary, seasoned strategist, expert business developer, and co-founder of 6 different companies operating across Nigeria and internationally. He currently works as the Chief Operating Officer at Seco Africa, a technology platform empowering content creators to monetize their content in real time. Debola was recently awarded the Nelson Mandela Leadership Award of Excellence and Integrity and appointed as an ECOWAS Youth Ambassador. Let's give a warm welcome to our panelists as they share their insight with us today. Thank you so much. Well, it's a full house. At this point, you want to eliminate all forms of distraction, okay, because there's a lot to learn today, and just get your questions ready because at the end of this session, you'll be asking a question. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I forgot to tell you that I'm not just the only host for this session. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Pastor Olumide Ojeleye. I sincerely apologize for that. You can do better now. You can do better. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for coming. All right, Pastor OJ, don't find me for this one, right?
Well, you asked me to be here, so...
Yes, I did, actually. Yes. So, let's start with the ladies. Okay, ladies first, right? So, Hawoma Wogo, how are you doing? You look so good. All right, so I need to ask you, the LinkedIn Queen. How did you become such a voice in the LinkedIn space? Did you just hop on LinkedIn one day and say, okay, I can do something here? Or you were inspired by a particular thing to just be a voice on that space?
Okay. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing?
Answer now.
How are we doing? Okay. So I think this is a very important question because when people see that you have grown so much on a platform, they think that it has always been like that, right? So I didn't wake up and just have hundreds of thousands of people following me on LinkedIn. I started showing up on LinkedIn in 2019 when I was still in the university. I was in Covenant University, and I think that there was a particular year that we wanted to go for internships, right? So I applied to intern at KPMG. And then I just decided to go to LinkedIn, right? And I was just putting out content on LinkedIn. At that time, I didn't have a lot of people say, like my posts, comment on my posts. I didn't have a lot of results at that time. I was just dumping stuff on LinkedIn, right? Because I think I had only about 24 followers then. On Instagram, I had about 1,000 followers. So I was more comfortable putting out anything on LinkedIn than Instagram. But what I did not know was that I was unknowingly registering my brand in the minds of people that were seeing me. So they'll see me today, they'll see me tomorrow. I was just consistent, right? And that's how I grew over time. Maybe I'll talk about when I saw major growths afterwards, but that's exactly how my LinkedIn story started.
Okay, so what I see here is consistency, right? Yeah. Okay, Debola Ajayi, I read your profile, like your complete, okay, I did the voiceover anyway, so I think it's impressive and inspiring. And how did you position yourself to achieve so much? Like, how did you?
So honestly, I think I've just maximized my time, right? I started early, and I don't know, God, I think all the time, and this is why spending as much time as you can in prayer helps, because I got a lot of doors open for me that in some cases I wasn't even looking for, right? But I've basically maximized my time. So I've been somebody who I spend a lot of time on self-development, self-study, and things like that. So the simple answer is that I maximized my time, and I started early. That's how.
Okay, oh Lord, satisfy us early. All right, so Abiola, I mean, media. How did you get into the media space? What inspired you? And would you also attribute that to mentorship? Like, how did you get into that space?
Okay, thanks for that question. Thanks for also having me as well.
You're welcome.
So, media, if someone had asked me, say maybe 15 years ago, what I wanted to do, all I wanted to do was to become an executive assistant or a personal assistant to somebody working in the United Nations. That was really my life's ambition, right? And so, when my child was born, I started a business, a shea butter-based business. But then when I was at home raising my first child, I had a lot of time on my hands, and my husband is a photographer. So one of the things I was always asking him for was to set up the camera and let me just, put content. And that was when content really, started to blow. We saw people blow at that time, right? So I'm like, I can blow too now, And I began to put content out there. I had this 60 seconds video that I would post at the time where I would talk about things bothering me, and I'll say, if you're on that table, come down. And I'll come down from the table. It was really good, but consistency was just a problem. And so I had to evolve from that to actually making a vlog, right? So I'll make videos of an entire process of something I'd done. And, the feedback was also amazing. But one of the things that stood out for me at the time, which I would mention, was that nobody knew me, right? So there were very silent days of me just practicing and putting in the work. I did not know at the time. At the time, it looked like, Bodon one finish this one. May not be like, say she don't get anything, what should they do, right? So that was what it was at the moment. And I grew basically from that. I had my second child, so I was really, really now at home very well, right?
Wait. So you have a second child right now?
Yes.
Like you still look like a secondary school student.
I mean, so
Please go on.
Side gist. Anytime I'm with my baby and he's crying, people will be like, give the pikin to the mother. I say, now me go on the pikin. So that's by the way. And so, amazingly, people were noting, but I didn't think people were looking at the time. And that's to say to any young person here, just continue putting in the work. Continue. If it be like, say, people no go know you, but what you're doing is that you're building capacity. And so an opportunity came. Somebody posted something on a WhatsApp status. And my friend saw this person's WhatsApp status, and the person was like, we're looking for a TV host that is lively and can communicate effectively or something. And the person sent that screenshot to me. And I was like, TV, how? I know fit, I beg. And prior to that time, God had told me to put up a CV together of my speaking engagements. I'd also started event hosting at the time. But I felt, let me just do it, because I could hear that it was not my own, because, it's different when you hear from God. And so I made that. My husband, I mentioned, is a photographer, so I had really nice pictures to put in it, right? And
God,
so she says, send your profile. I knew it wasn't a business profile I was going to send at the time, and so I sent that. And I got a call the following day, and the person says, hello, am I speaking to Toby? I want you to come to XYZ. And I'm like, okay, what's the topic? The person says, no, there's no topic. Just come. I'm like, I understand, yes, this station is not far from me. And the person says to me that, do you watch Your View? Do you watch Your View? I said, yes. So the person says, what, he mentioned the other hosts on the show. What they're doing is what I want you to come and do. I'm like, okay. The person says, tomorrow, I would send you what you're the lineup of the program. And I'm like, okay. You know, I didn't tell my husband. Because, you know, now so scammers they do. You really don't know, right? So the following day, the person sent something like a rundown of, you know, and I'm like, that was when I showed my husband, and my husband was like, hey, go now, at least. If they scam you, you will add it as part of your experiences. Just go. I said, will you follow me? He said, no, go follow me. I say, guy. You know. And so when I got there, that was on Thursday. On Saturday, I'd gotten to the security, said, oh, come in, we've been expecting you. I got in. Oh, the makeup studio, they did my makeup. You know, they're like, oh, newspapers, choose a story from all the newspapers I did. And they're like, okay, we're going into the studio. I'm like, I don't understand. You know, and as I sat and they're like, oh, she's too short. They put pillow under my seat. You know, and they're like, 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Wow.
From a YouTube channel that did not blow, right, to being on arguably Nigeria's #1 TV breakfast show. Right. And you see, the days of the silent rehearsals, silent processes now came to the fore. On that particular first show that I was on, there was something I said, and they took out that 1-minute video. By the time I stopped checking that 1-minute clip that they posted, it already had 625,000 views from the first day, right? And so, the rest they say is history. So, I'm one of those that didn't think of it, but when God was ready to, you know, project me, I was already there, having proof of concept. I had already had the work in place, and it was easy for, you know, God to just shine forth. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. Celebrate Jesus. What I see here is, you know, God and consistency. Thank you so much for that inspiring story.
Sorry,
All right. Okay.
I want to pray for somebody right now, especially for a single. May God provide you a photographer.
Amen. All right, Mike Abdul. It is quite interesting to know that you have a doctorate in theology. Like, I was really amazed. Can we celebrate him? You know, when I saw it, I was like, did you think you were going to be a pastor? Because, you studied engineering in Yaba Tech, then doctorate degree in theology, then music. Like, what were you thinking? I mean, did you understand your purpose at that time? Like, what happened?
Okay. Well, I believe I did engineering because of my parents. Yeah. My parents wanted me to be a mechanical engineer. And as I grew up, there was this argument in my spirit. I just knew that it wasn't right? But I was already in the sciences. And fortunately, let me say, I went to Mayflower School, and I was there when Taisha Larin was alive. And Taisha Larin was about the sciences. I knew that I was about the arts. But I was a child who wanted to please his parents. And you would like a Taisha Larin to be proud of you. So I stayed with the sciences and made sure I knew biology that I did not like. All right? And I did all of that. And it was good, but when I left secondary school and the opportunity came for me to be in the tertiary institution, I already knew I wanted to sing. So I said, so what part of engineering is close to singing? I said, it's microphone, no? I said, so let me just choose electrical engineering. So that's how I did electrical engineering. And yeah. So I did that and I gave it to my parents. your son is an engineer. Oh,
Bali,
congratulations.
Abi?
Oh, yes. And but when I got into life, I started doing the arts, started singing and writing songs, and of course I was gospel. So I thought it was important to know more about what I do. Then I decided to go to a theological seminary, and yeah, that's how I got here.
Amazing. Celebrate him.
Theological seminaries. I mean, since you wanted to study, you wanted to know more about what you do. Why was it not music? Why theology?
Well, it's because the most important part was the gospel. The music is good to know, but the most important part was the gospel. So I needed to know more about the gospel. Yes.
Wow, amazing. You know, one interesting thing about, there's a day that I sat with some of Mike Abdul's lyrics, and I saw that many of them, even though they look like you were in the forest, like you were in the wild environment, you still see that these are scriptures in a language that a generation can understand. Let's put our hands together for him once more. Okay. Since the anointing is on this side, let me come to you now, Hauma. There are many people listening to us right now who are in this service or maybe online. And by the way, if you're here and you have someone that should be blessed by this, please share the link to this service right now. Right? Share the link right now. And at some point in this conversation, we will be able to take questions. So I'm sure the team, all right, the link is already on the screen. So you could put in your details. Just go to slido.com. You can put the hashtag, and then you'll be able to put in your questions either as an anonymous person or as someone we can know. All right, so let's talk about LinkedIn for people listening right now. There are people who want to get a job. What's the key? I've had people say things about, oh, I just did XYZ on LinkedIn and boom, I got a job. Is it a magic? How exactly does it work?
Okay, so it's not a magic, right? I believe LinkedIn is an underutilized tool in this era. In fact, in 2021, it was recorded that only 0.16% of Africans were on LinkedIn. So it's not even up to 0.5, right? And even beyond those looking for a job, I even want to speak to business owners as well, because it's an untapped territory, right? So recently I've had people doing makeup come to get trained, and they are getting clients on LinkedIn, people selling clothes, people baking cake. And one of the major advantages they have is that there's lesser competition there. Most of their competitors are struggling for space on Instagram, Facebook, and then they come to LinkedIn, build authority on that space, and then it looks like they're the only people doing that particular thing there. For those looking for a job, right, they just have to position themselves rightly. A lot of people are so good at what they do, but they don't understand how to communicate their value, right? And I believe this is a major struggle with African talents. I remember when there was a time I got a particular role at a global investment bank, and I was applying with a couple of young people as well. While they focused on the technical skills, how to get the job done, I focused on how to exactly communicate my value, right? So your profile on LinkedIn is an opportunity for you to pitch yourself. So use every section that LinkedIn has given you as an opportunity to sell yourself. That's how to get a job. However, one mistake most people make when they come on LinkedIn is that they ascribe so much weight to profile optimization. And they forget that no matter how good your profile is, a profile that nobody ever gets to see is as good as useless. So as you have spent money, optimized your profile, ensure that you have an optimized presence as well. Because when you put out content, you basically market yourself, right? Content on LinkedIn is like an ad on Google, right? The way you run an ad to your Google website, content is like running an ad in quotes to your profile so that they can see the good things that is there, right? So don't be in that place where you're looking for a job, an opportunity, or a client, and then you optimize your profile, but nobody's getting to see it, and you're wondering what's happening. So I think that's why you talked about people that go out to announce stuff. They are intentionally optimizing their presence to gain visibility. So I believe anybody that optimizes both their profile and presence to communicate their actual value, it'll be easy to get opportunities there.
Amazing. So two more questions, but I thought you wanted to appreciate her for that. Two big questions. Number one, is LinkedIn a must? Then the second is, you talked about building authority. How do you go about building authority?
I don't think anything in life is a must, but there are advantages and disadvantages, right? So I won't say LinkedIn is a must, but I would say there's a lot you'll miss out on if you are not actively harnessing that platform, especially if you are somebody into business or career. And if you want to build a thought leadership brand in this era, I'll give an example. So there's a particular C-level executive I worked with in 2022, and he wanted to apply to Oxford. Now, it wasn't for an MSc or a BSc, right? He wanted to apply for one of those Oxford's advanced leadership programs. And then we had already started working on his LinkedIn before that time. So when it was time to apply to Oxford, the first question they asked us was for us to submit his LinkedIn profile before we could get to the other questions. And they had to vet his presence on a platform like LinkedIn. We need to understand that if we want to influence the world, or you want the world to think about you a certain way, you have to utilize what they understand. LinkedIn is currently the world's largest professional network. At least that's what they call it, right? So if you are somebody that has a profession or a career, then it is advisable, not a must, that you utilize and you're properly positioned on that platform, right? And I usually tell people, build the bridge before you urgently need it. Don't wait.
Sorry, please. Just say that again, please.
Build the bridge before you urgently need it. Permit me to share another story.
Please go ahead.
So there was a time that tech giants were laying off their staff. I don't know if you remember Microsoft, Google, they laid off some people. And on a particular day, I was scrolling on LinkedIn and I saw a post from somebody that was laid off from one of those companies. And he posted that he has just been laid off from that company and he was open for another role. So I was curious. I decided to go to his LinkedIn and see what he has been doing before he was laid off. And I noticed that was his first post on LinkedIn. In my mind, I said, did you have to wait till you were fired and you were desperately looking for a job before you decided to come out to speak? In his case, he's very lucky because, he's coming from a unicorn company. There are people ready to poach him. And I don't wish that anybody is fired, but you never know, right, what is going to happen. I'm sure 3 months before he was laid off, he didn't know he was going to be laid off. So I'm not saying prepare for when you are sacked or when you are laid off, but I'm saying intentionally build your brand around a particular sector such that they know you for that thing that you do. So if anything happens, people already know your brand. They know your value, right? So for the second thing, how to build authority. I believe that thought leadership is basically presenting your opinions about a particular subject matter that is different from the crowd. So if you want to be a thought leader, you must not be a C-level executive. You must not be a CEO, CSO, all those things. If you have unique perspective in your area of expertise, you can be a thought leader. However, you can't be seen as a thought leader if you are not communicating that expertise, right? So I'll usually tell people, allow people to taste of your knowledge before they ever get to pay you for it, because it will now be easier to pay you. So on LinkedIn, if you want to build...
Sorry. You're playing too many...
Sorry.
Can you say that
again? Allow people to taste of your knowledge for free before they ever get to pay you, because paying you will be easier at their end, right? So there was this story of someone that a lady was interviewing people, right? And she was interviewing 3 people. They were UI, UX designers. The first one came, did the interview, did well. Second one came, did the interview, did well. The third one came, and he had already built a model UI, UX design for the company. And so when he came for the interview, he just showed it to the HR. If you're the HR, who will you hire? You hire the person that had already done the work even before you paid that person. So if you want to build thought leadership, if you want to really improve your visibility on LinkedIn, allow people taste of your knowledge, share valuable stuff. That way you'll be attracting recruiters, you'll be attracting clients as opposed to pushing and always sending people DMs. Because a lot of people do that thing on LinkedIn, and it can be very annoying.
Thank you very much. I'm tempted to ask you one more question, but is this helpful at all? Or should we just close it? Is it helpful? I need the feedback. Okay, I'm tempted to ask you one more question, or maybe Alf, right? and it's about what you just said about people pushing their CVs to people. And I was already ruminating on that question. Is it automatic? Okay, so even though I'm not looking for a job, I still get job offers on LinkedIn because of my profile and all of that, right? And there are people who get a lot of job offers, but they don't get the, what do they give you when they employ you eventually? They don't eventually get the job, right? 1A, is it automatic? 1B, right? Mathematics is failing now. 1B is, how do you now ensure that as they are seeing you, you are getting the job? I don't know if it makes sense.
The 1A is what automatic? Getting the job?
Getting the job, yes. Or getting attracted. I mean, getting the attraction.
No, it's not automatic. You really have to be intentional about everything you do on LinkedIn. And that's why I usually tell people, have your goal before you show up. It sounds cliche, but a lot of people get intimidated and pressured on LinkedIn because they don't have a goal. You don't know why you're going there, right? So when you now hear someone announcing something, I just got an MSc at 18 years old, you're pressured. You say LinkedIn people want to pressure you or they want to pepper you. Nobody really even cares about you. They don't even know you. They're just announcing whatever they got, right? So it's not automatic. You have to be very intentional. And I usually advise people, before you even apply for a job on LinkedIn, please check if they are actively recruiting, right? Because some jobs were posted 5 months ago, but you just see it, you apply, and you'll be waiting for months. They've already hired somebody, right? So ensure that the jobs they're actively recruiting, and then you can make inquiries. Are you actually applying? Are you actually recruiting for this role so that you don't waste your time? And then 1B.
How to ensure that how to seal the job eventually?
How to seal the job? There are a lot of things that even go beyond LinkedIn. However, ensure that you actively stand out from your competitors, right? So I usually teach people that come through my training that you need to become an irresistible offer. A lot of people are marketing services and products, but not offers. That's why you can get on a call with somebody on LinkedIn and then they'll tell you, I'll get back to you, but they never get back to you. Because you did not present an irresistible offer, right? So beyond marketing a service for a company, marketing a product, ensure is an irresistible offer. An irresistible offer is basically something they cannot say no to. So right from your salary, negotiation, what you plan to give to the company, if you have a service or a product, how exactly you have packaged that thing into an offer, bonuses, just ensure that you give out something that they cannot say no to. That's when you can be sure that you get the job or the client, whatsoever.
Thank you very much. Okay, since we're talking media, let me come to the media mama. All right. How do we use media to project oneself, right? How do I know you hinted at the beginning, but what exact steps can be taken to project oneself, to sell oneself in order for one to gain traction and eventually convert to money?
Okay, thanks for that question. I'll take it from two perspectives. The social media that, this our Sorosoke generation knows, and traditional media, right? So I didn't know so much about traditional media. I would look at some stations, right? What we call the local stations, and I'm like, it's not a big deal. I'll look at newspapers and I'm like, does anybody still read newspapers today? But we'll realize that for top organizations, sometimes, when they want to verify your work, they'll check those media because they're verifiable. They've been in existence over a period. So one of the things I'll say to people, if you have an event and maybe you're doing a CSR activity, you're saying you want to teach your classmates or people that are in your community, you want to do like an outreach, please call media. It's not expensive. A lot of people will think that, I should say TVC is coming. Why? Kilagbe, Kilaju. But I remember in 2013, I'd done an outreach for my birthday where I gave out clothes to people in Ajegunle. And I told my dad about it, and my dad says, okay, I'm going to call TVC for you. Wow. Right? 2013. I would see those videos now, and I'm like, do you see? So somebody cannot, if someone sees that maybe in Australia and says, I'm looking for an organization to donate XYZ to, once they've seen that kind of proof of work, especially from a reputable TV station, they would say, oh, this person is legit, right? So sometimes, most times, and I think that that's where a lot of youths make the mistakes. You want to do things from a place of, I'm giving, and you even have scriptures to back it up. Yeah. You say, the left hand,
what's your left hand is doing your right.
Don't let your right hand, and all that. But the Bible also says, let your light so shine before men. Do you light a candle and put it under a bushel? Is it possible?
No.
So when it is that you're doing something great, remember, it doesn't come from a place of pride. It makes people understand that there is a God and he has used me to provide XYZ need, right? So that's for the place of traditional media. Now for social media, and I think that it's also very important to highlight that you can blow from anywhere. And this our generation, we're keen on that. Because we see some of our mates that look like, I'm like, especially maybe some people went to secondary school with you and you're like, now wow, we're now looking for how we can get in touch with this person. But I'd also say that even in the midst of not being seen and heard, still put in your content. Put out your content wherever it is. Because also, much more than what people are seeing, it gives you a sense of where you're coming from. It gives you a sense of your journey so you can actually understand that in 5 years ago, this is what I did. Now, this is what I'm doing. And it makes you want to aspire to,
to retire.
To retire and to refire, right? So, basically, from the two perspectives, media can help you depending on how well you're able to use it. And please, it is not a do or die affair, and I think that it's important to put that out there.
Please say it.
Right? It's not, if I don't, I can't survive, or life will not still happen. I mean, for me, for instance, what was particular for me was that I had silent days, and I usually say silent days because nobody knew, right? So if you have the gift of writing, continue writing, put it out, keep putting it out. No matter what, right? Because a time will come for most people. And I think some of the things that would highlight the fact that when opportunities come, you're not able to stand is because you didn't nurture that gift. You didn't nurture that calling. So when media comes, what are you posting on social media self is another question, but that's not the, question for the day. So please, whatever gifts that you have, start small, keep putting it out, because you never can tell. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So before I come to Debola, one thing that came to mind when you said that it's not a do or die affair is, how that people now go into the extremes of posting very, very private things because it is a do or die affair. Because you want them to tap. And then you're doing all kinds of things. I think that, do you want to say something about that? I think there should be a word of caution on that. So let me just tie this to the other one I wanted to ask you. So please talk about that with respect to do or die. And then the other one is, what's your encouragement for people who feel discouraged? Because you just said it, always put this, even me sometimes, those days, when you post and it's only you, your daddy, your mommy that are liking your content. And you're like, we have been doing this thing over and over again. Nobody is seeing. And then I just feel discouraged. YouTube is worse. You put in something and then, hey, Jesus. Just like that scripture says, night and day you're watching it. One like, it's 12 hours already. Only 2 likes and all that. Right, what's it? I have my own way of encouraging myself. I mean, well, maybe because I announced the result, but what do you say about this desperacy and then the other one?
So for this desperate gang question, right? And I would be, if I'm to really explain the level of desperation, and I think that it comes from what the challenges of our country, what the major problems are. And when you look at the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the first two, we have physiological needs, we have safety needs. So person will never chop, person will never get house to live, right, cannot begin to address greater problems. So I think the first two problems in the hierarchy of needs are what the youth of today are trying to solve. And you really cannot blame them, right? But then how do you balance morality with I can do anything to bloom, right? And conversations around faith, conversations around rightness or wrongness of things should be put in perspective. The second question is...
The first question around do or die affairs.
Yeah, that's
okay, sorry. When nobody's seeing you, encouragement. I mean, or what do you say?
Encourage yourself in the Lord. Okay, so in silent days, when people are not seeing you, look at the bigger picture. Why are you posting? And I think that for some people, it's okay to take a break. And so for me, when I realized that I was giving so much and wasn't receiving as much, I went off social media. I deleted all the apps. I didn't delete my accounts. I deleted all the apps because I wanted sanity. And the reason why I wanted sanity was because what I was receiving in terms of content on social media was affecting my mental health. Let me talk like Gen Z. Was affecting my mental health. And I felt the right way, because you would see your friends that are posting content that maybe are not as good as what you've posted. They don't blow. You are still there, and you're seeing, just a few likes and comments. So I'd say don't pressure yourself. Don't pressure yourself, because it's also important to realize that most times, now they do yourself. And the beautiful thing about social media is that it's not everybody that sees the posts that like it. Some see it, they read it, and they just scroll by. You almost cannot find me liking a post.
I've caught you today.
I read and I scroll. But there's some people, as they're scrolling, they're liking, scrolling, you almost cannot say Oluwati liked any post. But I see some of these things. So I also would encourage you to say, relax, calm down. If you continue in your consistency with engagement, people that matter would reach out when there is an opportunity. And it is not about the immediate look at my story, for instance. At some point, I was telling my husband, because say we get camera for us, I don't think this is, making sense. But look at what eventually happened at the end of the day. So please be encouraged. Just know for a fact that people that would need your service or your product will eventually reach out. And then in terms of business also, I also had the same, complaints where I sell shea butter in strawberry, vanilla, minty, and native variants. And I would post content. I would even travel to the rural women in Oyo State. And, I would go and do all of that community development and come back. And I was my video editor at the time. I would do everything and I post and I will see 5 likes. I say, after traveling to Oyo State, what is all this, right? But funny enough, what that did for me was that brands on Instagram that could not go through the stress of establishing relationships with rural women were coming to me for supply of raw materials. Because they could attest to the fact that even though they didn't like my post, because it was even dangerous for them to like that kind of post, right? So they would come to my DM and say, I need XYZ kg of shea butter. Please supply to, some of the natural brands today, their raw materials are supplied by us. But you will still see 5 likes on social media in our corporates, in our business handles. So all of those things, at the end of the day, for the people that need you, they would reach out to you eventually if you are consistent. Thanks.
Wow. So, most of these people who do stuff, you supply them, and you have not been sharing.
Let me
money.
not be priding. Well, yeah, we do.
But should I not take offense that we are friends and you don't like my post?
Ma binu.
All right, thank you. Okay, so let's go to Debola before we. I think Queenette has a question for Mike Abdul before we. Does anyone have a question in the house? Anyone? You have a question in the house? Okay. I met Debola how many years ago? Maybe 2012 or so. And by the way, the person with whom I met Debola for the first time is in the house today, Elizabeth. She didn't know I saw her. Elizabeth, shout hallelujah. All right. I doubt if you know she's in. Anyways, I want you to talk about the young people here right now who are considering, this economy tough. Things are hard. Things are bad. What exactly should I do? Should I do a business or should I look for a job? What should I be doing right now? Or should I just jackpot? Because even to get the money to jackpot self, I mean, you need, say, 15, 20 million naira.
No, jackpot is not like 40-something million.
40-something
minimum. Honestly, I can't tell you what to do because I'm not the one that would do it. How do I answer this question? Okay, so this is it, right? Let's leave the economy for a moment. Wherever you are now in your life at this point in time is a reflection of all the decisions, all the steps that you've been taking prior to now. So it's either a couple of things. One, are you in a situation where you've been investing your time and energy down the wrong path? And what you've been doing is not working because you've not been in the right direction? Or are you in a situation where you are doing the right things and what you need to do is to persevere, right? And to press on, like she spoke about her silent years until the opportunity came. So if she had given up before that phone call came, then maybe she wouldn't have gotten that phone call, right? Now, I don't know which of these two equations you are in, right? But whichever one you are in will determine what you are supposed to do or what you want to do. Now, talking specifically about Japa, the fact is this. It also depends on what you are looking at for your life and what you are trying to achieve or not achieve. The truth about the matter is, so there are some people in this city or in this country who have jackpot, and they have also done what we call jackpada, right? Which means that they jackpot, they reach pa, and they say we have to pada, because if we stay here, we will buy. All right? So it is definitely not for everybody, right? It's a different reality, it's a different world. For some people, they jackpot and that was the key to their next level and their breakthrough, right? But at the end of the day, whether you stay or whether you go, the principles and the pathway to succeeding remain the same, right? Because those principles are constant anywhere in the world. When you make the choice as to should you stay in your career, should you go the career route or business route, again, it depends. I always tell people, it depends on the configuration of your personal life at that time. If you have responsibilities, right, that demand immediate financial response, then maybe you need to get a job, you are earning some money while you start the business on the side and you grow from there. So you are not a nuisance to yourself, to your God, and to your family. Amen? Right? That is extremely important. There's no shortcut, honestly. Now, so if that's what you need to do, then that's what you need to do. And like she spoke about certain things you need to do about your LinkedIn and, to open up yourself to opportunities and all that, then that's that. If you are starting a business, then the principles around starting and succeeding in a business remains the same, right? You need to develop a product or a service that people are willing and able to buy or to pay for. I think the mistake many people make when it comes to this business thing, and even sometimes in terms of career, is you are following your passion. There are a lot of passionate, hungry people, or hungry, passionate people. I don't know how to put it, right? Yeah. I'm going to do, you need to go beyond. Look, I tell people, you can say, oh, I want to do what I like. I want to do what I like. You think you like a Toyota Camry until somebody will carry you in a G-Wagon. Abi? Then you will see that, okay, I think I prefer this one. So sometimes what you are saying you like is a reflection of your limited view, your limited vision, your limited perspective. One thing that I see, it's a crazy reality about Nigeria, and sadly even about the church, is there's too much emotion in life decision making. We are not a data or research driven economy or people. So usually too many people are building their futures trying to pursue what they like. This thing about what do you like to do? What do you want to do? Listen, you see, life is divided into sectors and industries. Some sectors pay more than others. It's just the way it is. Are you listening to what I'm saying? Some industries have more revenue flows than some others. Some industries perform so for example, if you build your life to go into the tech industry or the tech environment, it's different from if you build your life to go into banking, right? Banking, for example, usually a lot of people, when you get into banking and you're starting out in sales or marketing, it's like you have descended to the depths of hell. Because sales or marketing in banking is a brutal department, is a brutal space. And usually what happens to a lot of people is because they didn't wake up early, they end up having to take that job because it's just what is available, right? So you need to do the research. And I'm speaking to people, maybe, if you're here, because I say a lot of young people, so if you're still on campus or you are just a little post-campus, don't craze yourself on what I want to do, what I like fashion. I'm going to Oga. You see, there are a lot of people in fashion that are hungry. They're hungry. The hunger is deep. And they are there, they are frustrated. Look, God has given us wisdom. So do the research. If you will find, for example, for a lot of young people who didn't do well in their first degrees were still able to make something out of themselves in the last 10, 15 years, because for tech, they were not really big about the first degrees, right? It's the skill that you can write the code, right? You can write Kotlin, or you can write Java, or you can write C++. You're an iOS developer, or you're an Android developer, or you're a full stack developer, or you're a full Scrum project manager. The skill specific development is what's in that space you're looking for. Are you listening to me? So do the research. Whatever decisions you want to make, you will find out that the more data and research you do, the more light and insights the Spirit of God is able to show you. You see, God cannot give you insights. Why do you think look, I want you to try something. Lock yourself in your room and pray in tongues for 7 days. Don't come out. You will never see how to build a nuclear bomb. Unless you are a physicist. Are you following what I'm saying? So the anointing will come on what you build. Are you listening? You will never, look, stay in that room and pray for 7 days. God will never tell you how to walk on the moon. And walking on the moon actually requires skill. You have to practice to walk on the moon. You can't just say, I'm walking on the moon. You will walk off the moon. Are you following what I'm saying?
No,
so you do the
Michael
research.
Jackson.
It's moonwalk. And you walk off and you are gone. So do the research. Whatever, you're trying to make that decision. So you want to jackpot, do the research. I watched a video of a guy, was it yesterday, was talking about if you come to Obodo Ibo, he said there are 5 jobs you should avoid and stay away from. And he listed because you want to hustle, you want to do multiple, and he listed 5 jobs. And sadly, over the last 1 year, we've been hearing a lot of cases of people just dropping dead and slumping in the UK. Like that's becoming more rampant because it's a brutal economy. Those economies are not stupid. You are just a number. Do you understand? They have a total number of individuals they want to accept as immigrants. Once the number is complete, they will close the door. Do you understand? So they are very deliberate. They know that their people are not willing to do certain types of jobs. So they open up immigration. You think your country is crazy, but then you go to those jobs, you're doing things that you will not even have done here in Nigeria. Last in Nigeria, you will sit down in your father's house or your auntie's house or your grandmother's house and be eating free food, right? But those economies are not designed like that. You go there, you will work in the mortuary, you will work in the graveyard, you will. People are doing crazy things that they can't. And so another thing about those economies is, and my brother was telling me something. One interesting thing is, people will tell you, "Don't worry, when you come, you stay with me." Then you will get there, and they will not allow you to stay with them. Reason being that a lot of what people are doing to survive abroad, they can't tell you, out of pride, because a lot of people don't do those kinds of jobs here. So do the research, understand what you are doing and where you are going. Because like I said, you are the one who will do it, right? Do the research, study sectors, study industries. You are still young. You can pick up a new skill today that you didn't have anything to do with in your first degree. Are you listening? And you will develop that skill, and it will be what will change your life in the next couple of years. So do not let your background, as we say, keep your back on the ground, right? Do not let what you did as your first degree, or if you didn't do a first degree, let your thinking be skill-based. Find the industry, do the research, develop the skill, package yourself, right, properly, and then find the opportunity to deploy that skill into. So even if you are going abroad, it is a skill-based transition, not I am running from a bad economy. Do you understand the difference?
Absolutely.
Make skill-based transitions. I have found that those are the people who are not suffering. So transit based on skill. Don't transit based on need. If not, you will bada.
Thank you very much for that. Can we celebrate? That was really insightful. Okay, Toby, you would like to add to that briefly?
In addition to what Demola said, for entrepreneurs in-house, I understand that sometimes it may feel like a lot when you've dedicated your time, your resources, everything that you've got to start this business, and it's not just working, right? And some of us started businesses based on the passion that we had. And just like Demola said, sometimes passion may not be the one that would, settle your immediate needs. And so, for entrepreneurs, there are many contexts to put in place. So, number one, there are times when the business that you're running has outlived you. So, in my own case, I started business because it availed me the opportunity to raise my children. And so now that they're a bit older, I have time on my hands. The business is more structured. It doesn't need me to be there 9 to 5. It doesn't need me to do so many things. And so I'm able to say, I can step out of this business and it will survive as an entity. And so what else can I do? I went to look for a job. I'm currently an employee of somebody, of an organization, even though my business still exists. For some people, you realize that based on the current realities of our Nigeria today, the business that you're running cannot fund your lifestyle, cannot fund school fees. You can't run a business and you're trying to say, I never pay school fees, so, and you're able, you can do everything, you are employable, right? And so you would still stay there. It doesn't make sense. Shut down that business, and it doesn't mean you are a failure. And I'm speaking this way because a lot of entrepreneurs have felt, this one that have built a business in 10 years, 15 years, and it's looking like this thing is not working. Won't the world see me as a failure? No, you are not a failure. You're just understanding the times and seasons that you're in. So please do it. If you need to shut it down, please shut it down. Get a 9 to 5. Balance out. Learn a new skill. It is never too late. We've heard of global brands that their CEOs started in their 60s, in their 50s. Please, these things are possible, and you would realize that you would be more fulfilled. Even your children will thank you for making that decision of getting a means of making them comfortable in the grand scheme of things. So thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. I mean, to add to that, a lot of people have, this statement has killed dreams. What will people say? I can't stop, I can't start, So just, eliminate that thought and just, if it's not working for you, take a break and come back again. Thank you for that. Mike Abdul, they say the sky is big for everybody to, there's a space for everyone in the sky, but it's not just about taking your space in the sky, it's about relevance. So what is your advice for young people, young musical artists, gospel artists that want to, be in that musical creative industry or music industry? What are the basic things they need to do in order to stay relevant? You've been in this, scene for a long time, and when you hear Mike Abdul, you're always there, So what's the secret, rather?
Okay, I think you have to be business-like. You have to treat every song as a product. You have to move from being talented to being purposeful. It has to be from talent to purpose. So it's now by purpose. You must have target audience. Treat yourself as a business. You have to learn every skill. Talent is not enough. Discipline is what polishes you, right? I had to, first thing I learned was putting words together, not even writing songs. So I learned to write poems. I learned to write sonnets. I wrote prose. It was after then I now started learning to accompany my words with melody. I started learning melodies. I learned assonances. I learned a lot.
Assonances?
I was like literature.
I was reading dictionary. Wow. I was not reading a novel to find words to go to dictionary. I was reading dictionary. So I was learning about words. I understood that words are malleable. It's an art form, right? That's why it's hard to be a rapper, because you're only talking, right? So you must talk in such a way that people want to listen to you, and what you say becomes retentive, to them. So there's a lot to know. And that's the basic. And for those of us who are in this space, it looks like it's just my talent. My talent will see me through. There's nothing like that. You must devote time to it. I wake up every morning, I devote 30 minutes to writing. I devote 30 minutes because if you can train your muscles, okay, also understand that songwriting skill is a muscle to be trained. So you have to train it until it becomes a natural thing you do. A company called me and they said they wanted me to write an African-based Christmas carol. It was difficult. I started, I tried. It was really hard. It was so difficult. And I started having headache, so I slept off. Then I woke up, then my phone rang again, the same company. Then the company now said, okay, write the Christmas carol in Fuji. 15 minutes, I was done. 15 minutes, because I had trained myself that way. Become so good at what you do that you cannot be ignored. Become so good at what you do that you cannot be ignored. I think that's basically what it is. And also understand that there are also some value-added services around what you do, all right?
So, sir, it's not just coming to do ministration in church.
It's not. It's a lot more than that. You must be able to represent yourself well. A lot of people don't bring you because of these songs alone. No? Some people bring you because you are fine. Yeah, because your pictures are good. Yeah, because you present
somebody
yourself
still needs a
well.
photographer husband.
Seriously. They bring you because of all those things. Yes, stay with the skill, learn it, and please understand, sometimes we get lucky. You can do one simple song and then people are looking for you everywhere. please also understand that the fact that David used stone to kill Goliath does not mean that it was stone he kept using. You understand what I'm saying? He had to now be trained in using the swords and the shields. All right? So, knowledge is very key. You have to learn and keep learning every day. It's important.
Wow. How did you get, sorry, before you ask, how did you now get into acting? Because some people don't even know that you're an actor. Because you wanted to say something?
Yeah, but it's different.
Oh, okay. So, how from
Oh, yeah. Most of the time, because you are the one that wrote your songs, you know the emotions and you know how to react to your songs, right? It's organic. So once it feels natural like that, people just look at you and believe that you can act. So I got calls and I was shocked. I got there and I was with the A-list actors, I'm like, are you sure I can do this thing, But I had, like I said, become so good at what you do that you cannot be ignored. So that's just what happened to me. Yeah.
Thank you. Alma wanted to say something.
Yeah, but I wanted to say, with regards to the question you asked her, when encouraging themselves, when a lot of people are not seeing what you do, because I also have a similar experience. The first thing I want people to know, because the whole social media likes blowing is becoming addictive in this era. I think a lot of us need to understand that different people have progress trackers of their destiny. If we are being honest, not everybody is going to blow on social media, and you need to know. Not everybody is ever going to have 100,000 followers. Not everybody is going to ever have 1 million followers. Even if, and permit me to say, sometimes, even if you remain consistent, not everybody will ever get to the point where you're having millions of followers, millions of views. Some people don't need it for their destiny. Some people don't require it. Some people cannot handle it, so God will not give it to you. It takes a lot to manage influence. I'm not even so influential like that with millions of followers, but when I stepped into some level of influence, getting like 100,000 people following me, it's not so easy. Some of you cannot handle it. So understand the progress trackers of your own destiny and stick to it. There are a lot of people will look up to billionaires, but some of them don't even have millions of views on social media. Some of you might be like that. So stick to your own destiny path and know what success means to you. Second thing is, if now social media is part of the things that determine your success, and then at the initial stages you're not seeing likes, all those things, you need to understand that there is a day of reckoning, right? For example, that's 5 wise and 5 foolish virgins. You never know when the bridegroom is going to come. There's some people on social media, permit me to use this example, right? There are some people that, let's say, some worldly record labels found them. And on their pages, the people that found them now saw videos that they've been posting scenes, they've been singing, right? So you need to understand that you don't know when your own person is going to find you. And if they find you, they find your page, and they don't now see anything, whether people were liking or not, you might now be disadvantaged. So ensure that you're preparing for what you're praying for. If you're praying for kings to come to the brightness of your rising, ensure that whether they are seeing you now or not, you are positioning such that when they come, they'll be attracted. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. All right, Toby, somebody was saying, I think you said something about deleting your... Yeah, okay, so the person said, after deleting your content, to start again, what did you do? And how can I steady my followers? Sometimes when you go on Instagram, you see 1,000, then it will drop to 500. Very, it's not encouraging at all. So what can you do to make your followers steady?
Okay, so clarification, I deleted the app on my phone, meaning I still had my content there. I still have my Facebook, secondary school, you are doing all back, but I edit, right, from people to view. So I didn't delete my account, and I do not advise anyone to do that, except you expressly heard from the throne of God, right, to delete your account, but I would not advise it. So what I said was that I deleted the apps on my phone, so I didn't have any means of accessing those social media platforms. Then,
Okay, I've even got. Okay, how can I steady my followers? Like, sometimes.
So yes, so for social media, you really cannot, you have no control over those things because there are times when you've not done anything, they block your account, right? Even though we don't pray for that. So there are times when you maybe go to a place like this and you have more followers. After a while, when you post, they're like, Talele safe, they unfollow you, right? So those things, you don't have a control over it. So what do you do then to your mind? Train your mind to understand that you are not your followers. You are not the numbers on social media. You are more than all of those things. And it comes from a place of understanding who you are, especially in God. Right? And I would use God because na church we dey, but that's the reality. Where it is that irrespective of what the environment may seem, you are not your exterior, you are not the people liking you, you are the person on the inside who has God told you that you are, and do you believe it? So away from external validation that would people they're not liking, they're not, it's a deeper conversation. And I think social media is just the superficial conversation that we try to mask.
Right, thank you very much. Okay, lastly, so we're about to round off. In 1 minute, Mike Abdul, somebody from the audience said, what if I'm talentless? I don't have a talent. But okay, I want to be like Mike Abdul. I don't have a talent. What can I do?
Well, people that train themselves even do better than people who have talent if they don't train themselves. If someone who has talent refuses to train, you understand what I'm saying? One who trains himself will be better than the one who has talent. So I think you can learn the craft. Put yourself to learning, put yourself to discipline. It will be difficult, I started writing when it didn't feel like it. You sit down 3 hours and you are writing. To what end, actually? Times where I just wrote when I didn't even have a goal. I just wanted to write and make sure I keep writing so that I get used to writing. All right. So I think you can train yourself to do these things. Before you know it, he mentioned something about doing what you like. There's also something about liking what you do. Even when you don't like it, you better go and like it, because the discipline you will learn might be what you need for your next level. In doing what you hate, or doing just what you hate, you really don't like it, but you find yourself there, right? So it's best you take yourself through it, because the discipline you will learn might be what you need for your next level. When you now get to the things, or you have opportunity to now do what you like, you have learned discipline that will take you through.
Thank you very much.
Very
sir.
much.
But so I know we wanted that to be the last question, but I want Debola to say something about it. We have quite a number of questions on Slido. In case we're not able to take your questions, please bear with us. It's just for time constraint. But this final one, maybe I'll merge two, and if you don't mind, you can also. Is this my cue to leave this place? All right, maybe you could also contribute to the question by saying a little bit about your story you shared with us once, because this is even a different audience, all right? And then the question here says that how do I start again when I have closed my business and I still don't want to work with somebody else, all right? And then how do I manage office politics, right?
So, how do you start again when you've closed your business and you don't want to work for someone else? So, do you want to be hungry? I'm really trying to understand, Well, it depends on why you close the business, I guess, right? If why you close the business is because, I don't know. If it turns out to be the fact that you're not able to run a successful business, then maybe it means that there are things you still need to learn, right? And that means that you need to, I mean, that's what, depending on what the job is, but usually that's what's working for someone helps you to do. It helps you to learn how to start and run a successful business or a business successfully, right? So don't close off your mind to what you need to do to move forward, right? I have had businesses that I started and stopped, and because with life sometimes you have to move with the opportunity of the season. One person's example I like to use is Elisha. And Elisha had set since we're in church, I can use this example, had set his sight that what he wanted was the double portion on Elijah. So that was the outcome. So whatever the process was didn't matter to him. So even when Elijah says, go back and stop following me, he will say, I'd rather die. But you see this thing with it, we are going together. Even when Elijah would, try to move funny, you understand? Imagine, I'm sure they were nice that Elisha would not sleep. You just be looking like this. Because Elijah, it was a hard process. Don't get emotionally attached to anything that you lose sight of the outcome. The outcome is your financial success. The outcome is your, soul fulfillment, right? The process is, don't get attached to it, right? If you started a business, I've seen some people are struggling with something that they should have left because they are just emotionally attached to it. It's sentiment. Leave that thing. God is calling you to another place where there's opportunity. One of the most interesting things, so let me come to my story. One of the most interesting things that happened to me in the last 2 years is the business that I made the most money in is not a business. How do I say this? It's not my business. It's not the business I started. It was an opportunity I saw from the business that I started. Do you understand what I'm saying? So sometimes where the opportunity is not necessarily where you started. So my point is, like I said, I don't know the details of what's going on, but don't close your mind off to whatever you need to do, right, to move forward. Now, coming to my story. So I have a very unique story of starting, and then something happens, it closes down. I've had to start again a few times, but the most recent one was 2 years ago. So in 2021, I quit the job I was doing at that time. I was the deputy managing director for a holding company, and we had subsidiaries in financial services, oil and gas, travel and hospitality, etc. So I'd been there for a while, and then God spoke to me and said it's time to resign. So I resigned, right? Now, at the point where I resigned, I had I've shared this story here before, so I can say it. I had about $50,000 in my savings, right? So no, not my savings, in my investment. I had about $50,000 in investment. This was 2021, June, July, right? So this $50,000, I just put it aside. I didn't need it for anything. So I locked it up in a 1-year investment, right? And then for the next 1 year, I did not work. I was just playing. And people were confused, like, what's happening with this guy? Oh, but that's my story. Don't do what I did, though. Don't try this at home. My story is don't try it at home time. So for literally 1 year, I didn't work. I'm telling you, I was traveling, I was having fun, I was just having a good time because I needed that at that point in my life, right? So for 1 year, I was spending money. In short, at some point, by January 2022, after every month from August 2021 to January 2022, every month I would go somewhere. If I was in this country, maybe 2 weeks at most, right? I would travel. Now, January 2022, I traveled to another country. And just to give you context, right, I was spending quite some money. I think where I was at that territory, my rent per month was 1 million naira. That's how much I'm spending on rent a month, 1 million naira, just rent. And because I was having and then I decided that I was going to relocate to that country, right? So I processed my residency papers, I did everything, and then towards the middle of 2022, I started selling my stuffs in Nigeria. I sold my car, jackpot now, we are jackpotting. So now, this 50K that I had invested, it was time for them to give me back my money. So long story short, story started. We'll give you, so by July, I can't forget, July 17th, right? I took a flight and I came back to Nigeria because I told myself, that, boy, if you sit down for here, you don't go see this money. So you need to go home. And it was tough because I'd literally spent all my money gallivanting, enjoying life, and setting myself up to relocate to this other country, right? And now, I'm hearing stories. So I come back to Nigeria July 17th, and then I start inquiring, and then I hear that the guy don't take our money run. Hundreds of millions went down in that thing. I lost all my money. Now, so I went from, you know what it is to go from here, like you are literally up there. You can go to any country in the world. You're staying in 5-6-star hotels. You can afford anything. You can go anywhere. You are living on that level, right? And then in an instant like this, no warning, no preparation, you are just slammed on the ground. Praise God. I'd like us to celebrate our daddy who just came into the auditorium. Thank you so much, sir. And you are just, so I lost everything. Zero. All the money gone, long story short. So here I am in my house, August, I think it was, Olumide was a personal witness of that experience. Now, no job, no money, nothing. Like, it was gone. Everything was gone, right? No 1 naira. No job, no money, no business. Oh, I'd also stopped my businesses in that 1 year. So not even business, nothing. So in case maybe your story is like mine, right? How did I start again? Well, so as I was going through this crisis, 2 friends of mine came to me, right? And you really don't know what people, like I said the last time I was here, you don't know what people are doing in the world for money. You don't know. But trust me, people are doing things. So somebody who was a friend of mine at that time, who I didn't even know was into things like that, came to me and said, oh boy, you get one herbalist. Where they go? Called me and added the herbalist to the call, right? And said, I've told him your problem. As they say in Yoruba, Onowa, Tamagbegbà. So the herbalist on this call, this is my story. No, it's not they told me. The herbalist on the call read out the sacrifices and everything that will be done and told me how much it will cost, right? So you must understand that, see, it is easier when you have not tasted the good things of life. But when you have lived life on a certain level, this is why people commit suicide. You hear stories of people who lost everything and they committed suicide, right? It was a hard place to be in. To go from having that much money and living life on that level, and that's why I gave you some details, so you'd understand how difficult it was for me at this particular point in my life, right? In short, it was so bad that I had to, friends were like, I beg, give me 10K to buy lights. That's how bad it was. I was broke. I had zero money. And this was 2022 August. It's not so long ago. Now, after the phone call with this, so before I asked him, I said, so do I have to come to the shrine or can I just send money? The man said, you can come if you want. So you can just send money as well. Anyone will share, then we'll finish work. Herbalist to the collect transfer. They play. So now after the call, I sat there in my house and I looked at myself and I asked myself one question. I said, Debola, Ofe, I said it in Yoruba. Ofe fiyowe, that's you want to put your hand into this type of thing. I said, well, no. So I told my friend, I said, well, thank you. I appreciate your love and care. I know it's out of love, but I can't do this one. So I deaded the matter. Another friend came to see me in the house. Now, these friends I'm talking to you about, these are people who are multi-millionaires, who have stupid money. Another friend came to my house, sat down. He said, I know what we can do. He said, I know a group. They are a group of assassins. He said, you won't even pay them anything up front. They will find the guy. They will finish work. After they recover your money, you will then split 50-50. So you don't even need to pay them anything up front. This is how I was looking at him. He said, oh yeah. Pam, 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 pam. He calls the head of the group, right? That one, hello. And then he narrates, that was like, okay, we should come. So he was in Lagos at that time. He said we should come to his house the next day and see him. So after my friend leaves my house, I ask myself another question. Dibola, that means you want to enter inside cult. Because that thing, you would think it's solution for one problem you are getting. But you are entering, you don't enter things like that and just come out, the same way you entered. So I told my friend again, I'm sorry, but I will not be able to do this one. And then I carried my Bible. I carried a bottle of anointing oil. I sat there in my living room and I said, well, God, I'm here. Where are we going from here? And I started to pray. And I told myself something, and I told my friends, and I told my mother, I said, look, the only road I know is the road that is higher than I. And that's the road to God, to Calvary and to the cross. And I started praying. Now, a friend of mine, so I said, of course, I put the word out. I'm looking for a job because I had to get a job. Now, the first job I got was a job where they were offering to pay me 400,000 naira. My first reaction to that was, Amy, 400,000. That's what I thought. Are you playing? Who do you want to pay that? And then God spoke to me and said, it's like you are the one playing. You will take that job. I said, you see, that's why I told you, you cannot be emotionally attached to anything. The thing that God, so you shut down a business, you don't want to. Oga, God is telling you to do this. The key, when you have lost everything, if you're starting all over again, the key is to go to God and to hear directly from Him and to walk in obedience. At that wedding, when they said wine has finished, his mother, he said to the woman, woman, what is your own with me? My hour has not come. Then he said, whatever he tells you to do, do. Now I took that job and I started from there. It was tough. In short, my bosses at that time, they made me cry. Full grown man. I saw, hey, shaggy. So it was not easy. It was tough. In short, when we got to, now there was a conference in another country. I quickly went there because again, I was still hustling. I started trying to restart my businesses. It's in technology. So I went for this conference and all that. Now, when I was supposed to come back, I mean, you've gone for the conference. Now there are opportunities to talk with investors and all that. So, and I extended my flight. So basically, I got stranded in that country. So now I'm stranded in this country. I've spent all my money. I should have left. I didn't leave. Now I'm owing rent, etc., etc., etc. I'm going around it now. And then I started crying because my bosses were stressing me. I was in pain, but I didn't quit the job. So I was crying, and this is what I'm telling you is last year March. I'm not telling you something that is 10 years ago, right? Last year March. And long story short, April, God showed up for me. And between April and December, my business was just one business, no, two of them, made about $100,000 in 7 months. So I stayed in that process, but importantly, I went to God and I stayed with Him. So yeah, that's what you need to do if you are starting all over again.
Wow. We're far behind schedule, but this is how much time will permit us to do. Has it been valuable to you? Are you sure? Do you want us to have this again? Another time? And you will come? And you'll bring your friends? Please, let's put our hands together as they go back to your seats. Amen.